Hello my friends, my name is Artur Rehi and I am an Estonian soldier. Bada bim bada boom. Today we talk about something that is not Estonian, not American, but Russian. How Russian, you might ask? Well, I'll demonstrate to you. We're talking about submarines, and not just any submarines, the biggest submarine ever built. If that's not Russian, I don't know what is. Before we go into that, there's something Finnish we need to talk about. You guys already know, the regular viewers already know. Bada boom, booyah man, Rohje watch. This is a wristwatch, but just not any wristwatch, no. It is Finnish quality and it has reindeer leather straps on it. I feel super Nordic when I wear it, yes I do. Estonia was never taken into the Nordic countries by Sweden, Finland and Norway. I secretly wanna feel Nordic, so got myself one of the Rohje watches. I suggest you go and do the same, the link is in the description below. You feel Finnish quality just burning into your hand, it's a good feeling and people will notice it and compliment your watch. Oh, I love that watch, where did you get it? From Finland. Rohje doesn't let you down. Go and get it. Typhoon, the largest submarine ever built.
574 feet of length, 48,000 tons of displacement, 2 nuclear reactors, and a unique design inside which are weapons that can burn the whole continents to the ground. These submarine cruisers became the most powerful weapons, banners of the Soviet Navy power, and
so Chernobyl had 4 nuclear reactors, right? This sub has 2, so only a submarine that which is almost as powerful as Chernobyl. But this is moving around in the ocean and it can just be next to you at any moment. Boom, here I am. Typhoon here, man. Surprise! We're gonna take over your nation. That's what Russia does sometimes.
Symbols of the Cold War fear. Today we are exploring the legend of nuclear leviathans. By the end of the 1960s, nuclear parity between the USA and the USSR was fully formed. It was obvious to each of the parties that any attempt of a strike against the enemy would lead to a counterstrike, the result of which would be complete mutual destruction. In addition, the attempts to reduce the risk of a nuclear war led to the preparation of special agreements to limit the number of weapons. The nuclear race went from a quantity to a quality format. Both countries sought to create a more powerful, effective and long-range systems.
Well, it doesn't really matter, yeah, Obama did so much to dismantle the nuclear weapons and, you know, to be sure that Russia does the same. They dismantled a lot of the missiles and a lot of the bombs, but that means they will dismantle the quantity of them. They would just make fewer bombs that are stronger and that can shoot further, so they don't really need thousands of them, they only need a couple of hundred very strong ones. Nuclear build-up hasn't gone anywhere, just the weapons have gotten smarter, stronger and bigger.
Primarily the ballistic missiles and, of course, their most important type, submarine-launched missiles, placed in hidden and dangerous submarines. The result of this work in the United States was the UGM-96 Trident. This solid propellant missile had a range of up to 4,600 miles, or 7,400 kilometers, and carried...
You have a missile inside a submarine that can move silently anywhere, and the missile can also just almost circle the Earth. That really doesn't give you any safety if you have the opposing country. You don't know where the sub is, and you know wherever it is, it can probably hit you with a missile anyway, because it flies so damn far. I don't like these weapons. They scare me, yes. You know what doesn't scare me though? Patreons, they don't. And they're not scared by this also, otherwise they would have left already, but they haven't. You, the Patreons, thank you so much for still being here. I have a phase in my life right now, very difficult to make videos. I'm trying to do my best and still we have patrons on this channel, so thank you. I will read you some. Daniela Flam Jackson. Miss Jackson, a woman, we don't get that much here. Thank you for becoming a patron. Darren Martin, Mr. Martin, thank you for becoming a patron. And we have Daniel Burns. Mr. Burns from Simpsons, personally, whoa, I am honored. Thank you for becoming a patron. If you want to become a patron, the link is in the description below. It is the best way to support this channel.
6 100-kiloton nuclear warheads, a real monster of its time. Of course, the US Navy launched a large project to create a new carrier for this weapon. The result of this work was the flagship of the US submarine fleet. the Ohio-class ballistic missile submarines. At the same time, work was carried out in the USSR. The strategic plans
Brezhnev, look at him, he's a puppet. He was a puppet. He was a drunk, he was a weird man, he didn't do much, he was lazy. He's just a puppet. He even told the committee that he doesn't want to be the chairman anymore. They didn't let him go because they didn't want to break the status quo. They liked their positions and Brezhnev was a good puppet, so even if he himself asked them, please, I'm old, I want to go now, I don't want to, be the chairman anymore, they didn't let him go. This is how puppet he was.
Both countries at sea were similar, and Soviet engineers also set about creating the newest strategic missile, no less powerful to the Tridents. They succeeded. The new R-39 missile had a range of 5,200 miles, or 8,300 kilometers, and carried 10 warheads.
Damn.
But these achievements had their price. The rocket was 60% larger, and its mass of about 200,000 pounds, or 90 tons, exceeded Trident's mass by almost 3 times. Giving unsurpassed combat performance, this huge and heavy rocket became a real challenge for the submarine creators. Challenges didn't end on the missiles.
How are you gonna put this huge thing underwater? And how are you gonna, propel it out? It has to be upward position, and if it's upward, it's really long, and stuff has to be huge and ginormous, and boom, we have the biggest submarine in the world. The Estonian soldier hat competition goes on, my friends. We got some new orders and I think we have a new state of the day, meaning we're gonna learn one cool fact about, let me tell you which state. Larry Morrill. Larry is from New Mexico. The order goes to New Mexico, but Larry's not a basic person. No, he's not a boring person at all. He didn't get 1 hat or 2 hats, no. He got 3 hats. Making sure that New Mexico will be the state of the day today if somebody doesn't get 4 hats, but that's unlikely. Way to go, Larry, a hero of your state. That puts New Mexico to 6 points. We have Fernando Padilla. I know you say 2 L's like Padilla. As an Estonian, I would say Padilla, but this is wrong, right? You're Padilla. You from Kansas, brother? Andy Hermann. Why do I say it like that? Because this dude ain't from America, he's from Germany. Deutschland. Hermann. Herr is like Mr. This hat is going worldwide, my friends. Nobody from China has gotten it yet, but one order for the Estonian YouTuber Cup went to China. We have one Justine Hawk. Very cool name, Justine. Love the name, and Hawk is like, a predator bird. Justine, you're a woman, right? Way to go. Michigan. And finally we have Trevor Eckrich. Family name also sounds German, but Trevor, I think you're American. Point goes to Pennsylvania. 5 orders, 5 different states, no repetitive anything. But New Mexico remains the state of the day, which means we will learn one cool fact about it. But first let me put the green line under its name. Now, one cool fact about New Mexico is New Mexico has the most PhDs per capita than any other states in America. Most PhDs. So, New Mexican people, you gotta be some educated people. Very smart. I like that. Smart decision to get so many hats. You, go and get the hat. Back to the video, my friends.
The new submarine had to be able to execute very long-term missions, including the ones to the Arctic region, to ascend from under the ice several meters thick, and to launch the missiles very quickly. It was obvious that no conventional design could satisfy such requirements. The development of the Typhoon-class submarine began in the early 1970s, and the Rubin Design Bureau engineers were to create the revolutionary vessel.
You see this star? This is the biggest honor in the Soviet Union. If you get this star, you're a big shot. And Brezhnev, the lousy chairman, had 4 of them for nothing. He didn't do anything, he just had 4 of them. Stalin didn't have any, and Brezhnev had 4, and Stalin did so much more. I mean, horrible things, but still he did so much more, because Brezhnev was known to do nothing at all.
To solve the whole complex of tasks, the designers had to completely revise the large submarine design ideology. The result of wide research was a completely new design, which was technically a catamaran. The idea was sophisticated but simple. 2 large pressure hulls made of titanium alloys were built in parallel inside the vessel. Inside them are located the crew quarters, power plants, and most of the equipment. In addition, inside the separate pressure hulls, there were torpedo and aft compartments, as well as the central control post of the boat. The main weapon of the cruiser, 20 ballistic missile silos, were placed in the space between the large hulls. There was enough room for them now. All these structures are surrounded by a steel hull, coated with special material that makes the boat more stealthy. The cruiser has a huge reserve of buoyancy. Almost half of its displacement is the ballast water. This was done specifically to minimize the draft of the vessel in ports, as well as significantly increase the lifting force during the ascent. The Typhoon submarines were planned to navigate in the Arctic, and these solutions allowed them to break through the ice up to 2.5 meters thick.
What?
Obvious.
2.5 meters thick ice. You know, I'm 1 meter 94 tall. I'm kind of tall, you know, and if you even put almost half a meter above me, and that's all ice, and that can just break free from that. And even if you think about it, you're in a submarine, in a freezing cold water, in the middle of nowhere, and there's like 3 meters of ice above you. You're just in an ice box, and everything's separating you from the icy cold water is this thin layer of steel. The submarine business freaks me out a little bit. I wouldn't want to ever go underwater with it. I'd get such claustrophobia, I think. And also I'm really tall, I couldn't be part of the crew.
Obviously, such a huge ship needs a lot of energy. The Typhoon is equipped with two 190 megawatt nuclear reactors, as well as additional steam turbine installations. This power plant gives 50,000 horsepower to each of the two huge 7-bladed propellers, hidden by the fairings that reduce the noise. They are able to accelerate the giant to speeds up to 25 knots, or 30 miles per hour. Naturally, the huge size of the ship and its new design had an influence on the work conditions of the crew. Due to the large internal volume, they placed recreation zones, a gym, a swimming pool, a sauna, and other boats.
There's a swimming pool and a sauna in a submarine. Imagine you're underwater in the middle of Antarctica somewhere, it's really cold, and then you're in your little cozy submarine bubble and going to sauna. It's like, hey, друзья, поехали в баню, yeah, let's go to sauna. It's just weird for me to imagine, but yes, it is very important because you might go crazy otherwise if you don't have any recreation there. And of course they're playing chess here, I mean, it's a Russian submarine.
Bonuses incredible for the submarine fleet. As a result, sailors began to call these boats floating hotels. Due to this, as well as the large number of other solutions, the Typhoons are able to carry out military operations lasting up to 6 months. The safety level is also very high. Due to the placement of compartments in separate pressure hulls, the probability of the submarine destruction is minimal, even when receiving very serious damage. For example, according to the expert reports, a torpedo explosion that destroyed the Kursk submarine would most likely not have caused serious damage to the Typhoon-class cruisers. In addition, in 1991, a training missile exploded inside a launch silo of one of the vessels of this class, Arkhangelsk. The explosion and the fire that could destroy an ordinary submarine for this giant were an inconvenient incident and the reason to return to the port for repairs. For the event of a disaster with risk of losing the boat, there are 2 rescue chambers on board that allow to quickly evacuate the entire crew of, in average, 160 people.
160 people.
Now, of course, the main weapon of this Leviathan. The Typhoon-class submarines are capable of carrying up to 20 ballistic missiles R-39. According to the NATO classification, SSNX-20 Sturgeon. Being the large
20 missiles, and these missiles can fly really far away. And as it said at the beginning of the video, one of these submarines with 20 missiles can destroy entire continents. This sub can take down entire superpowers. It's freaking, it scares me.
Largest and the heaviest submarine launched missiles in the world. They are equipped with 10 individual guided warheads with a yield of 100 kilotons each. The boat is able to rapidly launch all the missiles even from the depths of 180 feet or 55 meters and strike the enemy with 200 nuclear bombs at once. A serious reason to think twice before attacking the country owner of such a sub. Later, the missiles were modernized, and already in the 21st century, the Typhoons became the main test sites for the new SSN-30 Bulava missiles. Of course, a boat of this size isn't meant to conduct close combat with ships and other submarines. However, for this case, the Typhoon received 6 torpedo tubes, capable of firing conventional torpedoes or special rocket torpedoes. To produce ships of this size, the Sevmarsh plant had to be significantly upgraded. Specifically for them, a new construction site was built, which became the largest object of this type in the world. 6 football fields can be placed on its roof, and the height and interior space would easily allow to place a 20-story building inside. It was there when in 1976 the assembly of the first heavy cruiser, TK-208, was started, and in the 1980 it was launched. At the same time, an image of a shark appeared on its boat, giving the name to the whole class. That's why in Russia this submarine class is called Akula, or shark, while NATO calls it Typhoon. The construction of the sub was carried...
It's weird how Russians and Soviets had their own names for their weapons and ships, and NATO just names them on their own also, and some names are the same. Some names NATO just takes from Russians, and you know, it is a Katyusha, or it is a MiG fighter, but some are different also. I don't know why they do it like that.
Carried out at such an intensive pace that in July of 1991 it already entered the test program, beating its American rival, the Ohio submarine, by 1 month. At the end of the same year, the cruiser entered service with the Soviet fleet. In total, in the period before 1989, the cold northern waters saw another 5 ships of this class. The operation...
Wait, how many ships does Russia have of this class? Over 5? What? One of these is enough to destroy entire continents. And if they have over 5, a real superpower on the sea. Yeah, more than the US, I have to say, unfortunately.
Of the subs was very intense, and they had a good performance. In 1987, the third vessel of this family, the submarine Simbirsk, set off for the long mission in the Arctic. The boat spent almost half a year at sea, and during that time even managed to change the crew. The replacement was delivered to it by an icebreaker. The voyages, of course, were not always simple. In 1986, Simbirsk collided with the British submarine HMS Splendid, but both boats didn't receive serious damage.
How is it possible that you collide with you're in a Nordic Sea, it's just a vast emptiness of water, and you collide with another. It's the same that you're in an African field or plain of some kind, and there's nothing. There's the desert and cacti, and then there's one tree, and you're driving a car, and boom, you drive into that one tree. How is this possible? But it does happen in life. I always wonder. It's the Murphy's Law, I think.
In 1991, a rocket explosion, which I mentioned earlier, occurred on the Arkhangelsk submarine. Also, back in the mid-80s, one of the boats got caught in the fishing nets. Well, what can I say? Nobody had caught a shark this big ever before. And of course, the Typhoons were the authors of probably the most epic and very scary pictures of several ballistic missile launches, when the boat launched its entire armament almost at once. There was no apocalypse though. The launches were a part of weapons disposal, and the missiles self-destructed mid-air. The Typhoon submarines were a very dangerous weapon.
The missiles self-destructed, but the nuclear warheads had been removed, I'm quite sure, otherwise we would have some very radioactive places in the world where they exploded.
And along with their class brothers, the Ohio submarines, they are considered to be the real symbols of the Cold War. In a sense, the fear of those weapons made the leaders of both nuclear superpowers to calm down and start negotiations for peace. However, the operation of these sea monsters was a difficult and costly work. The collapse of the USSR and practically the complete lack of funding for the Navy nailed the subs to the shore. During the following years, most of them were withdrawn from the fleet, and some boats were disposed of. In 2017, there was only one giant in operation, which has been modernized and named Dmitry Donskoy. This submarine is now the main platform for testing the new weapons, primarily the Bulava ballistic missiles. It is likely that by the mid-2020s, all Typhoons will retire, passing the title of the main sea nuclear predators to the new generation of Barré-class submarines, the more modern and efficient, but smaller in size. Such sea giants as the nuclear submarines of the Project 941 Akula, the world will probably never see again.
So right now there's only one, and 4 of them are already decaying. The situation is looking better than I thought.
Fulfilled their duty. By showing the terrible power of the nuclear fleet, they did not allow anyone to use this power. And now, they will take their rightful place in the history of shipbuilding, sea sailing, and military operations.
I'm glad to see that they don't use them as much anymore, but yes, I am afraid that the new modern ones that are smaller but as effective, they might be smaller, but yes, if you build more effective technology, it can be even more powerful being smaller. So I think Russia still has a very big upper hand on the submarine business, you know, more than the US. The US is leading almost everywhere else except for the submarine business, which is totally a Russian ground. I couldn't say ground because it's water, like Russian waves. Russian water? I don't know. Thank you, my friends, for watching. Thank you for sticking by. If you want to support the channel, just become a member of the channel or become a patron. Everything helps. Thank you for watching, and as always, my friends, until my next video, stay cool and bye bye.